There's a moment every business owner hits, usually around 2 a.m. in the morning, staring at a ceiling. It's the realization that you've built something that can't run without you. Now, every system requires your judgment. Every output needs your review. Every decision waits in a queue for you. And the thing you built for freedom, it became a cage.
And here's the cruel part. The better you are at what you do, the worse the trap gets.
Because nobody can do it like you can.
Which means nobody ever will. Not unless something changes.
So for 3 weeks, we've been talking about why AI feels hard and what skill is actually missing. But today, we're going to show you how to use that skill to break this trap. Not by working harder, but by building differently. I'm Kim.
And I'm Hal.
And this is Small Business, Big AI, the podcast for operators who are done reacting to technology and ready to build a technology-enabled superpower on purpose.
This is part 3, the finale of our series, the leadership nobody trained you for.
So we diagnosed the problem, we named the skill, and now we're building the system. So let me connect the dots on where we've been. Now, in part 1, we named the problem. AI feels hard, not because you're not smart enough, but because you were handed delegated intelligence without a management framework, like no manual, no onboarding, just a blinking cursor and a lot of marketing promises. Then in part 2, we built the skill. Delegation, real delegation, context, criteria, checkpoints. We talked about how AI is the most demanding delegation partner you'll ever have because it can't fill in the gaps with intuition.
And you left the people with a challenge. Document the thinking you've been leaving in your head.
Right. But here's what we haven't addressed yet. Doing that once, that's an exercise. Doing it every time, that is exhausting.
Exactly. Because if you have to build context from scratch every single task, you haven't saved time. You just shifted where the work lives.
And that's not a system.
That's a workaround.
So the real question, the one this whole series has been building towards, isn't can I delegate to AI? It's can I build a business where AI can actually contribute without me re-explaining everything every single time?
So we're not talking about prompting anymore. We're not even talking about delegation as a one-time skill. We're talking about organizational design.
And that's the shift. And it's why this episode matters. Because the operators who figured this out won't just use AI. They'll build businesses that scale beyond their personal capacity. Businesses that can grow without growing headcount at the same rate. And businesses where the founder isn't the bottleneck on every decision.
That's a big promise. What does that actually look like in practice?
Well, Hal, let's build it. Now, when we say from tools to teammates, we're not being cute. We're describing a fundamental shift in how you relate to AI in your business. Now, tool mindset sounds like this. I use this when I need it. I open an app, I get an output, I close the app. Transaction complete. But teammate mindset sounds different. This is a member of my operation. It has defined responsibilities. It knows our standards. It gets better over time.
So it's the difference between a contractor you call when something breaks and an employee who owns a function.
Exactly.
One is reactive, the other is embedded.
And embedded is where the leverage lives. So let me break down what the operational shift actually requires. That's three things. First, you have defined scope. What is this AI teammate responsible for? Like what's inbounds, what's out of bounds? Just like you wouldn't hire a human without a job description, you shouldn't deploy AI without clarity on its role. Second, persistent context. What does the AI need to know that doesn't change from task to task? Like your brand voice, your customer profile, your quality standards, your red lines. Now, this is the institutional knowledge that shouldn't have to be retaught with every conversation. And third, feedback integration. How does it get better over time? When you correct an output, how does that correction become an improvement, not just a one-time fix?
That sounds like you're building an employee onboarding process for software.
That's exactly what it is, Hal.
That's exactly why most people skip it.
Right. I understand that. It feels like overhead. It feels like overcomplicating something that should be simple. So the marketing said plug and play. So why am I building training materials?
Because plug and play is a lie.
Right. Plug and play is a lie for anything that actually matters. The things that create real leverage require real architecture.
So you don't skip onboarding with a human hire and expect great results.
So why would this be different? Now, let me ground this in something real. Now, last week, I told you about documenting my brand voice. I mean, it took about 30 minutes, one document, and it seemed small at the time.
The exercise that came out of frustration,
Right. And AI output kept missing the mark. And I realized I'd never actually defined what on brand meant outside of my own head. But here's where it gets interesting. That document didn't just help with that one task. It became the foundation for an entire system.
how so?
Well, client communication templates now have a style guide to reference, and social media drafts get checked against defined standards. Even the onboarding materials that I'm building for future team members have a voice baseline to work from. So it's one exercise, multiple applications, ongoing returns.
So one clarity exercise created an asset, and that asset keeps paying dividends.
Yes, and here's the part I want you to catch. The document itself isn't the system. The system is how that document gets used.
Break that down.
Well, a document nobody references is just a file taking up space in a folder somewhere. A document embedded in a process, one that gets pulled into every relevant workflow, that gets updated when standards evolve, that's infrastructure. So the difference isn't what you create, it's whether it becomes part of how you operate.
Okay, but that's one piece. Brand voice. What about everything else? Customer service standards, sales process, operations. You can't document your entire brain.
No, and you shouldn't try. That's the trap. Thinking you need to systematize everything before you start.
Analysis paralysis.
Exactly. And the approach that actually works is simpler. Start with friction. Where does AI output consistently miss the mark? That's your signal. That's where clarity is missing. That's where something in your head hasn't been externalized yet.
So the friction isn't the enemy.
The friction is the map. Every time you correct an AI output, you're identifying something that should be documented, something that should be systematized, something that's currently trapped in your head and needs to get out.
You don't build the whole system at once.
Right. You build it where the pain is, and you let the pain guide you to what matters the most. So here's why this matters beyond AI. And this is the part that I really want you to hear. The reason most small businesses can't scale isn't lack of capital. It's not even lack of customers. It's not lack of opportunity. It's founder dependency.
Everything runs through one person.
Every decision, every quality check, every "that's not quite right" correction, the business can only move as fast as the founder's bandwidth allows.
Which means you're the ceiling on your own growth.
And here's the thing, AI doesn't automatically solve that problem. So a lot of business owners add AI and just add more to their plate. Now they're managing AI outputs on top of everything else that they were already doing.
So they're busier, not freer.
Right. But if you use AI as the forcing function to externalize your standards, to get your judgment out of your head and into a system, you're not just getting help with tasks. You're building an operation that can run without you as the bottleneck on every single decision.
That's the dream. But let's be honest, a lot of operators hear that and they think, that's not my business. They got 3 employees and a QuickBooks subscription. That sounds like enterprise talk.
Well, yeah, it sounds like enterprise talk because enterprises have been forced to solve this problem. They couldn't function with everything running through one person's head. But the principles are the same at any scale. The question isn't how big is your team? The question is how much of your operation lives only in your head
And whatever lives only in your head,
is where growth goes to die.
so this isn't really about AI at all. AI just is the forcing function.
Right. AI is the most demanding forcing function you'll ever encounter. It won't let you stay vague. It won't fill in the gaps with good intentions. It won't figure out what you meant. And that's either going to expose the cracks in your operation or force you to fix them. That's your choice. Now, I want to close the loop on something I've been living through, and that's building the insurance agency. It has been a masterclass in everything that we have talked about in this 3-part series. And it's not because the AI is complicated, but because I'm constantly bumping into the gap between what I know and what I've made explicit.
The head versus system problem.
Right, the head versus system problem. Every single day, Hal. So I'm not building a business that runs on my expertise alone. I'm building one where my expertise is encoded into the system, where AI teammates and eventually human teammates can execute to my standard because the standard exists outside my head.
That's the vision. How's the reality?
Well, honestly, some days it's energizing and some days it is truly humbling. Now, the humbling part is realizing how much I've been operating on instinct, how many things I thought were obvious that weren't obvious at all. They were just familiar to me. So, AI has a way of showing you the parts of your business that are held together by duct tape and founder intuition.
Which is uncomfortable.
Deeply uncomfortable, but also kind of a gift.
If you let it teach you.
Right. It's a gift if you let it teach you. It's a frustration if you fight it. And that's the choice this whole series has been building toward. You can keep wrestling with AI, treating it like a broken tool that doesn't understand you, or you can use it to build something that doesn't need you to be the smartest person in the room on every decision.
One path keeps you stuck, the other builds something that lasts.
And look, I'm not saying this is easy because I'm in the middle of it right now, as some of you. Now, there are days when I want to throw my laptop across the room.
I've witnessed a few of those days.
I mean, you have, but I keep coming back to why I started, Hal. I didn't build a business to create a job for myself with more stress and worse benefits. I built it to create something that could grow, something that could serve people at scale, something that could eventually run without me in the weeds of every decision. And AI is making that possible. It's just making me earn it first. So here's your small step for this week. And this one's different from the last two. So part one was about diagnosis, recognizing what's actually hard about AI. And then in part two, that was about skill building, documenting the thing that you've been leaving in your head. But this one is about commitment.
Not just an exercise, a decision.
Right. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to pick one recurring task where AI output consistently misses the mark. Not a random task, but something you do regularly, something that matters to your business. Document the context, the criteria, and the checkpoints like we talked about in part two. But then I want you to take one more step. Decide where that documentation lives, not in some random note, not in your head, but somewhere it becomes part of how you work.
You're not just writing instruction, you're building infrastructure.
Right. 15 minutes now will be hours saved over the next year. So we started this series by naming why AI feels hard. We built the skill that actually fixes it. And now the question is, will you operationalize it? Because the difference between operators who wrestle with AI and operators who lead it comes down to one thing. Did they build the system?
And if you don't know where to start, if this still feels abstract, that's exactly what the impact framework is built for.
Let me pause here for a minute. If you're still with me at this point in the series, it tells me something important about you. Now, you're not casually curious about AI. You're not looking for shortcuts. And you're definitely not here because you think another tool is going to magically fix your business. You're here because you can feel the bottleneck. You can feel how much of your business still runs through your head, how often decisions wait on you, and how often this should be easier by now turns into quiet frustration. And here's what I want you to hear clearly and without drama. If this still feels abstract, it's not because you're missing effort or intelligence. It's because no one ever showed you how to take what you know and turn it into something a system can actually carry. That translation step, that's the work. And it's work most operators end up doing alone in fragments under pressure, usually when something breaks. Now, the reason we built the impact framework wasn't to teach people how to use AI better. It was to give experienced operators a way to slow this moment down, to name what belongs in their head and what needs to move out of it, to stop improvising leadership every time a new tool shows up. So, impact isn't for everyone. It's for people who are ready to build differently, not louder, not faster, but with intention. So if this series put language to something that you've been carrying for a while, if you're ready to stop guessing where to start and start building infrastructure instead. That's the door. No urgency, no pressure, just a next step when you're ready. Oh, that's it for today's episode of Small Business, Big AI. And that's a wrap on our 3-part series, The Leadership Nobody Trained You For. So thanks so much for tuning in. Now, if this series shifted something for you, if you're seeing AI differently now, well then hit that subscribe button and share this with another operator who needs to hear it.
We covered a lot of ground. Why AI feels hard, the skills that are actually missing, and today, how to build AI into your business as a real contributor, not just another tool that you're wrestling with.
And like I said, if you want to go deeper, if you want a framework for strategic communication with AI, we've developed something called Impact.
It's how we teach business owners to stop wrestling with AI and start leading it. DM us. The link is in the show notes.
So until next time, keep embracing change, keep innovating,
And keep building your technology-enabled superpower.
and this has been Small Business, Big AI. We'll catch you in the next episode.